Fantastic.
I'm going to ask if you are not muted to please mute yourself. You can mute you too. Thanks everyone for coming this morning. We appreciate you. We are here with Rylan Hissong from SigniX, who's going to do a demonstration of his platform. We're going to go ahead and get started because I know everyone's time is super valuable. So I'm going to turn it right over to Rylan.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a real honor. So I'll try to make this as simple and as quick as possible, just to kind of give you guys a good understanding of how this works, what it looks like, and just how easy it is. So obviously, first steps would be obtaining the document from the client that they're looking to get notarized. And that does have to be in an electronic format, purely because that's how you'll help to upload it and tag it and sign it. So first step is getting that document. You'll bring that into our system and hit create new transaction. So the first step is to add your signer's information. All you need to know about them is their name and their email address, and then how you authenticate that individual. So for this example, I'm going to have to use myself as a signer and the notary. Hopefully this can kind of be easy enough to tell the difference between the signer and the notary when I go to actually sign the document. And I am going to authenticate myself through the KBA process so that I can show you how we comply with New York State's regulations and all other state regulations. If you had personal knowledge of that individual that you're notarizing for, you can authenticate them through email only, and it will bypass the ID verification and the targeted questions based on their credit history report. But like I said before, I'm going to authenticate myself through knowledge base with ID verification. And that does give me the option to enter in their last 4 digits of their social and their date of birth here, but I don't know that information about my signer. So I'm going to ask the signer to provide that for me, and then I'm ready to add them as a signer on this transaction. Okay, added it twice. So once I have my one signer in here, I'm going to add myself as the notary. And that is as easy as just clicking I am the signer and the notary. And it automatically brings in my notary commission information. Obviously, I'm not a real notary, so this is just placeholder information. This will be your digital stamp here, your commission number, and your expiration date. But once I have myself in, you can see I have my signer and my notary and their email addresses associated. That's how they will receive the documents and the Zoom meeting link. So now I'm ready to move forward and actually upload the document that needs to be notarized. So I can either click and drag, or I can view my files and select which ones I need. With our system, you're able to upload as many documents as you need to. The limitation is 99. So there really isn't a limitation, but you know, you're able to do any type of signing with us. There's no limit, minimums, maximums, or expectations. So just to keep it simple for this one example, I'm going to do this one document and one signature. So I'm going to move on and actually place those signatures onto the document.
Rylan, must it be a PDF, or could you upload a JPEG or something along those lines that the signer had to take a picture of it?
It must be in a PDF format. So that's how you'll upload them, download them. And that it does help to kind of keep it in that format, just to kind of have that baseline of you know, formality. So up here, you can see my two signers on this transaction. And again, this is kind of where it gets confusing, because this Rylan is the signer and this Rylan is the notary. But right now, I'm going to tell the signer where they need to sign on this document in order to fulfill that document's requirements. So I like to think of this little bar over here as my task bar. whatever I click and drag from this bar will be a task that's assigned to that individual that I have selected up there. So if I click and drag a signature on, I can move the date and resize that. But now this is a task that that individual will need to complete in order to finish signing the document. So just to keep it simple, I'm going to do a couple of signatures. And I will also do a text box and a checkbox and a pair of radio buttons. So again, like I said before, you're able to do any type of signing on our platform. It really just depends on what that document calls for, what the requirements are in order to fulfill that signing. So whether this is a loan signing or a simple affidavit or a will or apostille, you are able to adjust accordingly. So there is a lot of customization with these. If that document needed a yes or a no, then I can do that as well. If that document required a lot of text boxes, a text box with the signer's name already filled out, then I can adjust those accordingly as well. I can say, if I just wanted to have their name in there, I could do that. I can type in something here that will automatically come up for them. Again, it just depends on what that unique document calls for. So I'm gonna place my last initial here, and then all of that signer's requirements will be placed, and I can move on to the next signer that needs to take action on the document. And in this case, that will be the notary. And since on this document, I only had one place to sign as the notary, I'm going to place my signature there. And you can see that the text box or the boxes are different colors. They match the individual signers. So this signer is green, and obviously this signer is blue. So hopefully that can kind of distinguish the two. But now that I have my notary signature, I'm ready to place my notary stamp. And again, it's just as easy as clicking and dragging.
And Riley, I just want to make sure everyone on the call is clear that this is preparing the document for the actual signing. This is not signing now. It's you get the document beforehand, and you can go ahead and tag all the spots where it has to be signed and notarized and date so that you don't miss any as you go through.
Absolutely. So yes, with our platform, you do have to do everything beforehand, and it does have to be accordingly set up to, when that signer goes in, everything should be there, because there is no adjustments once you're on the Zoom call and once you're actually going through that signing ceremony. But what I'm doing here is setting this up to schedule it in the future. So these are just kind of placeholder signatures. It may look like the signature's already there, but no one has taken action on the document yet. So now that I have all of that placed and ready to go for when that signer does come into the document, I'm ready to send this out. So let me title this something different. And I'm going to do just to make it simple. And so on our system, we do have a demonstration mode available for as many demo transactions as you'd like to. This doesn't affect your account in any way. You're not charged for these. You can't mess anything up during this, but it does go through the exact same processes that you would in a real transaction. So you're able to kind of get in here and get that hands-on experience and really practice with this so that you go into that first transaction with full confidence. You know your responsibilities, you know your signer's responsibilities, you know exactly how to guide them through that, make it smooth. So when I hit send, it's going to ask if I want to demo now, but this is what will come up in a real transaction. And what we're doing here is scheduling that Zoom call with the client. So let's say that I had gotten with the client on a good time for this Friday at noon. So we scheduled this signing ceremony to take place on the 24th at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So when I hit schedule now, it will send out that Zoom meeting link to all parties on the transaction. And obviously in this case, it was just these two. So we both got the same unique Zoom meeting link, but it has not sent the documents yet. Our system will hold those documents until that signing comes time to take place. So that it is your responsibility to come back into your account, click on this transaction and hit stop email hold. And when you do click stop email hold, that will send out the actual document links. So we hold them because if they were sent at the same time that the Zoom meeting link was sent, obviously we scheduled this transaction to take place on Friday. If that signer got the documents that day, then they could go in and sign those documents without you being on the Zoom call, without you knowing, and that would nullify that actual notarization. So let me bring up my email address or email and show you what that looks like. So here's that first email with the Zoom meeting link. So now let's say that it's Friday at noon. We're ready to take place, or we're ready to get onto this Zoom call and actually kind of witness and verify that client's identity and satisfy this notarization. So since we're on a Zoom call now, I'm unable to start this one. But so we, let's say that we're on the Zoom call, we're introduce ourselves, we've confirmed with the client saying, I'm going to be notarizing your document today. And so you can guide that client to their email where they should have received the documents by now. And unfortunately, my internet is kind of slow for right now. So let's check on that. There it is. Okay, awesome. Good timing. So now that I have that email with the documents in it, I'm going to go in as the signer at this point. So something else to note about our system is that only one person can access and sign the documents at a time. So the email will be sent off to the first person. As soon as they finish verifying their identity and signing the document, the email will be sent off to the next person on the transaction. In this case, I only had one signer and one notary. So the email was sent to the one signer, and now they are going in and getting ready to verify their identity. So the first thing that it'll do is ask them for the expiration date of the ID that they plan on using, and they will click on that. They will enter that in, and then our system will tell them to stop and wait for their notary's permission. Again, this is another kind of security check. You don't want them to come in early and sign it without the notary being there on the Zoom call. But we're already on the Zoom call at this point, so we are ready. I do have the permission from my notary. So now the signer will accept the legal consent in terms of service. They will enter in their last 4 digits of their social and their date of birth because I told them to. And as soon as they do that, they'll be guided into those KBA questions. And again, these are based on their credit history report. So they do have to have enough credit in order to populate some questions. And there's only 5. They do have to answer 4 out of the 5 correctly in order to pass. They will get up to 3 attempts to pass these. If they fail all 3 attempts, then they will have to wait another 24 hours to try again. And they will only have 2 minutes to complete these 5 questions. So obviously in this demo, it tells me what the right answers are. So I will go ahead and fill those out. And then I can move on to actually uploading that picture of my ID. So I'll begin verifying, select the country from where my ID is from. And I have any choice of these as a valid form of ID. Typically, obviously, it's a driver's license, but if for some reason they didn't have that, then they can use another form. I'm going to use driver's license, and they have 3 different methods of uploading that picture of their ID. So they can either continue on another device, and if they did want to do this, that would give them a QR code that they can scan on their phone, use their phone camera to take a picture of their ID. They can upload an existing photo if they have one, or they could use their web camera. I am going to use my web camera. So I'm going to have to stop my video for this one portion of the call, and then I will click on this button, and that will allow me to just hold up my ID to the camera, and it will automatically take a picture of it. I'll be able to use this photo, and then I can turn back on my camera. And that does not affect the validity of this notarization because you were still able to see that individual on their screen. Depending on the document that you're notarizing and state requirements, typically the states do allow the client to share their screen so you can witness everything that they're doing. You can make sure that they're clicking on the right buttons and going through the right proper processes. Similar to exactly what I'm doing now. So you can see and verify that they are doing everything correctly. So now that I have my ID uploaded and it's verified, I'm ready to log into my account. If you're a first-time user of SigniX, then you will create a password here. And I can update my signatures and initials if I'd like to. What that'll do is give me the option to choose a font. I can draw my own signature, or I can upload a picture of my wet signature if you'd like to. But I'm going to stick with my default signature. So when I hit let's go, I'll be guided into the document, and I can just click where I need to sign. So now I'm actually confirming that I sign here because the notary had set this up for me, and they've told me where I need to sign. And so once I have completed all of these required actions, I can confirm for those required actions and finish signing the document. So as soon as I finish the last required action, email will be sent off to the next individual in this transaction, and in this case, me, the notary. So I can close this as a signer and bring up my email and show you what that looks like from the notary's perspective.
Rylan, can you just touch a little bit on the ID credentialing? Where does that go? Who verifies that information? What is that process?
So as the KBA or just the ID?
Just the ID. So the concern is, how would you know if the ID is real? How is the notary verifying that information? What does the system actually do to verify that piece of identification?
So we use a third party to verify those IDs, Persona in this case. So essentially, they are confirming that it's not a fake ID. It has real credentials to it. And it's a valid ID. It's not expired, and it's not for someone else. So it will also, as the notary, and I'll show you this in a second, it will show you the picture of the ID that they uploaded, and you can witness it and verify it as the notary as you would in person. Similar to exactly to if you were doing an in-person notarization, you look at the ID, verify that they match their picture and all of the information on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. So for some reason, my emails are coming in very slowly today. I apologize for this.
While we're waiting, Rylan, can you tell me what states Secured is SigniX is compliant in?
So
currently, what states are you in currently, or which ones maybe you're not in? Would that be easier? Either or.
Well, yeah. So states we are not in. Let me actually pull up this picture. So, the only states that we're not currently in are the states that don't have any RON legislation for. So I thought I had one over it, but so we are in 43 of the states. Okay, so California, obviously, one we're not approved in. North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama is remote ink notarizations only. Oh, you know what? I think I have. Here we go. So Illinois does have legislation, but they have not figured out their approval process, similar to New York. Maine is, well, now that New York does have it, we are approved in Kentucky. Georgia still has no legislation for RON unless you are a lawyer, I believe. And I believe Delaware and Connecticut still are waiting on RON legislation. So I also believe that we're approved in South Dakota. So truthfully, any state that does have RON legislation, we do have approval with because of our security and because of our patents and the way that we go about this. So why is this not coming through? I should also mention that we use digital signatures in our technology, meaning that all of the legal evidence is embedded into each and every signature and document. So when you download that document, you actually download all of the legal evidence that you need to prove in a court of law that that individual signed that document. So our digital certificates are embedded into each signature. They were provided to you at no additional cost. You don't have to purchase one from a third party. And I do want to show you what that looks like when you open up a document that was signed on our system. So this one was signed obviously last November of 2022. And when I open this document in any PDF viewer, no matter how long after that transaction took place, I'm able to click on each individual signature and view the digital certificate embedded in there. I can view the signed IP address, where they were exactly. And I can view the certificate code, and it's obviously very, it's above my head as far as, you know, how this works and what that code exactly does. But it is a globally recognized, here it is. So that X509 certificate, it's incredibly detailed. And here's the audit log for this transaction as well. So ours is populated as you go. So it actually takes pictures of the document at each stage. So you're able to pull up a picture of that document before they sign their signature and after they place their signature. So if I wanted to, you know, verify and show that individual what that document looked like before they did, because they came back to me and said that, oh, I thought this agreement was for 3 years or, you know, 5 years rather than 10, then I can show them that as well. And I can actually click on the initials as well. So there should be no worries as far as reaching out to us to find that legal evidence. It's when you download that signed document, you have everything that you need.
So Rylan, you supply the digital certificate. Do you supply the digital notary stamp as well, or do they need to provide that for your platform?
So you are able to upload your existing stamp with us. So essentially you'll just take a picture of your wet stamp and upload that picture into our system. And that's free. You are more than welcome to purchase a digital stamp if you prefer the digital format. But yeah, you can, we don't provide them, but it is free.
That's fine. And is there a time limit on each session?
No. So There is no limitations or anything with that. It is unlimited. Again, we don't charge for any of that. We just have two fees. We have a yearly license fee and a transaction fee. The transaction fee is purely based on the number of stamps placed on the documents, and the license fee is what gives you access to the software.
And so, is SigniX so for the notaries who are planning on using SigniX, is there a job board where signers can come out there and, you know, go through and you supply the notary with leads for that, or is it strictly just a bring your own business type of platform?
So it is a bring your own business. We are structured more as a business tool. So we want to enable the notary to do everything that they need to on our platform. And we kind of just take a step back. So we do live trainings every day run by our client success team. Everyone has their own client success manager with us that does the trainings. They'll reach out to them periodically to make sure that they don't need anything additional. We also have a live customer support team that you are able to call at any time. Well, not at any time, I'm sorry. It's 9 to 5 Eastern time. You can call them, and if you're in the middle of a transaction, something's not going right, they'll walk you through that process, making sure that it does end up successful. So, you know, we arm our notaries with everything that they need to be successful with a business tool like this. But as far as the actual business, it does have to come from the notary.
Okay, great. And this system can be used both for general notary work and loan signings. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're able to do any type of signing with us, and we don't charge by signing or anything like that. It's purely based on the number of stamps.
Okay. And then can you just, before you move forward, explain the pricing structure?
Yeah. So we have a couple of different agreements for our yearly license fee. So we have a 1-year agreement for $449. That's $449 for the 1 year. If you prefer to do our 3-year agreement, it is $299 a year for 3 years. So it's just $299 up front, and that will renew annually based on the date that you signed up first. And then the transaction fees, again, are based on the number of stamps placed on the documents. So in this example that I did today, I only placed 1 stamp on that document. If I had uploaded 2 more documents and placed 1 stamp on those other 2, so a total of 3 stamps within this 1 transaction, we bill 10 for that first stamp and then 5 for each additional stamp. And if you're doing a loan signing with 15 stamps, we cap our transaction fee at $60. So you'll never pay anything more than $60 for a single transaction. So for some reason, I'm terribly sorry about this, but that other email for the notary is not coming through. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that, even though I did send that again.
And just to confirm, Ryland, you have nothing to do with the transaction between the notary and the consumer, correct? You're just a vendor. So the notaries would always bill their client directly, and then you just get paid as they go, right? Do they buy like tokens up front, or is there a monthly billing? How does that work? I suppose I should ask.
Yeah, so the yearly license fee is billed annually, and then the transaction fee is billed monthly based on usage. So if you go a month without doing any transactions and you don't have a bill for that month, if you only did 1 transaction with 1 stamp in that month, you charge the client a national average of $25, and we charge you 10 for that month. Right. So again, yeah, you're able to charge the client whatever you feel is fair, whatever's your state legislation dictates. And we don't have any involvement with that. So we just want to be able to provide the tool, enable our notaries to do everything and be successful with it. And then we'll take a step back and just kind of let them go.
And I assume for signing companies, title companies, lenders who have a large amount of notaries underneath them, they can contact your sales department, and there's probably enterprise pricing at that point, correct?
Yes. So we do have a team account available. And what that does is it allows for administration access. So if you wanted to have one administrator and have them be able to view and download all of the transactions that their users are doing, it also allows for license swapping. So if you have employee turnover and if you just want to swap out that license without having to pay another fee, then it allows you to do that as well. We also do white labeling, which is branding customization to each, to that individual company. And again, that all does, reach out to us. We're more than happy to help and kind of make sure that your needs are taken care of and your demands are met. This is quite frustrating for me, truthfully, because I've never had this issue with without not receiving that email. So I'm genuinely not sure why, but I'm more than happy to answer any other questions if there are any. Maybe okay. So as the notary, when you go in, it's obviously much simpler because you log into your account. It shows you the picture of the ID that they uploaded. You can look at it, have them hold up the ID to the camera again, confirm, look at the two and verify that way if you'd like to. And then you're sent into the documents. You click that one signature that I had. And as soon as you do, a box will come up and it will ask you to fill out some information, and that's going to be your e-notary journal. So you're just kind of entering in some record keeping, bookkeeping information as far as where you were, how much you charged the client, what that document signing was, whether it was a power of attorney or a loan signing or whatever it may be, and then some other additional information. And as soon as you fill out that e-notary journal, you're done with that transaction. You can end the Zoom call. As soon as you do end that Zoom call, it will go back into your account and be available for download. We store those recordings for 90 days. And after that, it will be your responsibility, depending on what state you're in, to download and store for the necessary time requirement. Let me try to find a transaction with one of those. So
okay, so let me I want to go back to that for a minute. So for the journal piece, for the recording, you only hold it for 90 days and the notary is responsible for holding it. So here in New York for 10 years right. Thereafter. What about the journal piece itself? Do you continue to hold that, or they need to take that with them also?
So the e-notary journal is stored for the lifetime of the contract. The only thing that is not stored by us is those Zoom recordings. So the Zoom recording is up to the notary to verify and download and store themselves. Here's what that looks like. Obviously, this one was only 6 minutes, but I'm able to download that here. I am able to download my e-notary journals in my e-notary profile. So here's all of my previous journal entries, and I can download this whole report here with this button.
And again, they would have access to those the whole time that they're on the platform. Once they leave, though, they need to take that with them, correct? They would no longer have access to that?
I would highly encourage you to do so. We are able to download and send them if necessary, but obviously, it is the notary's responsibility to keep track of their own records and bookkeeping kind of stuff.
Okay, so it's completely separate. All of the invoicing, all of the billing, all of that is separate. You don't provide them any resources to bill their clients or any of that sort of information. Do you have suggestions as to where they can house those audio-visual recordings, or do you have a relationship with a storage entity per se?
So we do have an integration with Box. If you do have a Box account, then we are able to move those recordings and anything that you would like to store with your Box account. We can move those into there. Typically, an external hard drive or another secure cloud storage company would be the preferred method of storage. It's truthfully up to the notary. We can work with them, but it is up to the notary. So, but there was another question in there that you'd asked, right?
Well, I'm looking. So the question here is, when you download the Zoom recording, is it always available to view it? And that would really be where you as the notary are storing that. So you should be storing it somewhere where you'll be able to view it. And that would depend. Lee, do you want to unmute? I saw that you have a question in your car, so you probably can't.
Thank you. No, yeah. I appreciate this. As a former data security guy, there is a lot that the notary needs to know about storing these videos offline without access to the internet. Box, of course, is accessible via the internet. I would not consider that secure, because if somebody hacked their servers, then they're getting all of your clients' personally identifiable information, because they're holding ID up to the screen for those Zoom recordings. So I'm a believer that there has to be offline storage. I happen to keep my videos in 2 separate offline devices. But that's just because of the background. You did mention that you record what we charged for the notarization. I don't that my understanding, that's not a New York State requirement. Is that a mandatory field? Because the way I run my business is the way I run my business, and I don't think I want that advertised.
So, actually, great question. It is required to fill out our eNotary journal. No one sees this. We don't have access to this unless, we do have access to it, but we're not going in there and checking on you. And truthfully, the only place that, this is the only people that really see this is you, the notary. And this is just to kind of have on record, right? So if you'd like to go back and when you're doing taxes or something like that, you can eNotary journal and kind of witness it all there. But it is unfortunately a required field, and it is something that you must kind of keep track of.
Well, I do want to reiterate. I mean, most states have statutory pricing here, right? Fee structure. So if there's only one notarization, and we can only charge here in New York $25 per that notarial act, and the likelihood here is that that's all you're going to be able to charge. It's all inclusive for us. We can't charge for the journal keeping or the box or the time or any of that. I do want to ask, though, out of curiosity, if someone were to ask for that journal entry, the Department of State or something like that, would they see all of that as well? Not that makes a difference to me, but they would have access to what you did charge when you put that fee in there, correct? So I say that in the matter of, to use caution when you're putting in your fees there, that you're making sure that you are putting fees in according to your state. I do want to go back to the recording of the holding the recordings for the notaries. I do want to reiterate too that some states have requirements as to how you store, where you store, how that occurs. So like here in New York, we have to make sure that we have a backup, right? Or someone has a backup of that as well. So if you are going to hold those recordings, not only do you need to put them in one place, but you need to go someplace else to store them as well. So make sure that you're following those rules as well. Any other questions that maybe I didn't hit on that were in the chat or you want to talk about?
Oh, no way. It finally came through.
All right. Well, there you go. Perfect timing.
All right. Well, okay. I'll go ahead and show you this. I didn't log out here. Let's try that again. So our system doesn't like to run on multiple tabs, obviously, because of our security, and it can't do that. So now I'm going in as a notary. And again, this is very simple and very quick, because all I have to do is log in. Here's the picture of the ID that they uploaded. If you had to fail it, it would cancel the transaction right then and there. I'm going to pass this, obviously, because I know that it's legit. And then I'm guided into that document. And then since I only had one place to sign, I will click. Here's that e-notary journal. So actually, yes, it is required. I thought so. So I'm going to enter in some of that information about, what took place, how that all happened, anything I want to keep note of. In this miscellaneous tab, you're able to put whatever you'd like to, really. Just kind of depends on if you wanted to keep track of something that took place during the transaction. I like to place however many stamps I put onto the document. When I hit let's go and finish, now this will be a completed transaction by all parties, the signer and the notary. And all of that information will be back into my account. So here's that transaction that was completed moments ago. If I had multiple documents within that transaction, I'm able to download them all right here with this one click. And that would download the auto log as well with the documents.
And Ryland, once it's completed, does the signer automatically get a completed notarized document, or do we need to forward to them?
So our system will send an email saying that your document is completed and it's available for online viewing. You can adjust that if you prefer to not give them the option to download and print those documents. You can do that. If you're worried about receiving payment from them, then you can hold them until they do pay. Typically, I do suggest to just send them back that document yourself so that you've done everything that you can to satisfy and fulfill their requirements. But it will send them an email as well.
Great. And then what hours and time zones is support available? Is that by phone or chat or email? How would we access that information?
So our customer support team is live. You can call them, you can email them, you can put in a ticket, you can chat with them, but it is 9 to 5 Eastern time. If you'd like any additional training, you can reach out to your client success manager as well. And again, we are 9 to 5 Eastern time. So you can do a one-on-one training, you can do advanced trainings with us. We're more than happy to help. We're very hands-on with our clients. And I truthfully think that is what differentiates us from the rest of our competition, is just how focused we are on our clients' success.
And then in terms of the signer, they can utilize a computer, a tablet, their phone, is that correct? But for the notary, we saw there's a little bit of work here. I suggested that we use an actual computer. How hard would this be, or is it even possible to do on a tablet or a cell phone?
Good question. Since you access our software through a website, essentially, it's a cloud-based software, you are able to do it on any device. Obviously, since you have to be on the Zoom call and you have to be sharing your face, it is easier on other devices, but you can do it on any device. So if you'd like to do it on your phone, you can. You're more than welcome to, but I do suggest at least a tablet or a laptop.
Great.
Or a desktop.
Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute and ask if you'd like. I'm not going to hold you to the chat here. Certainly jump in at any time. I know there's a lot of questions about Ron and finding clients, and the reality is that that's not really in the purview of what Kylan's talking about today. But this is really truly you building your business, right? You marketing, you going out and finding your clients. That's for the most part what remote online notarization is currently. It's not really a real estate platform per se. We're not in that space 100% yet. So it's really about general notary work and bringing your own people to the platform.
So I do want to bring up one thing about that is that we are working on, it should be available within the next week, a marketing toolkit for our notaries, which will consist of just some marketing collateral, maybe some social media posts, some brochures, some videos. You are free to use at your free, however you'd like to market yourself as a business. We're trying to enable you guys to be successful with this, and to find the more signings and to really grow your businesses. We want to be a part of that. We want to be a part of that success with you. So we will be launching that here pretty soon to enable you guys to do so.
A question about invoicing. If this is a question about invoicing from SigniX, they will yearly, there's that yearly fee, and then they'll invoice you monthly for your usage, the transaction fee. And if you're talking about invoicing your clients, it's a whole separate transaction that's between you and your signer. SigniX doesn't have anything to do with that at the moment. So you invoice your client directly, you collect the fee from them. That would be separate altogether from what you do with SigniX. They are a true vendor platform. Would be like if you had a copier and you had to pay for, copies, or you pay your phone bill, I guess is sort of that kind of thing. So separate. You'll need to determine how you're going to have your clients pay, whether you set up some sort of, credit card system or Venmo or PayPal.
And that is typically what a lot of our notaries do, is something like PayPal or Zelle or a Venmo or something like that.
Good to know. Other questions that we didn't touch on, or questions that you have for Rylan about the platform, or something that you need to look at and see? There is no additional charge, Rylan, correct, for holding the journal and that audiovisual recording for the 90 days. That's all inclusive of that transaction fee.
Right. We will not nickel and dime you. The only fees that we have are the yearly license fee and the transaction fee. Everything else is included, no additional cost.
Perfect.
Including the training and support.
All right, last call for questions, concerns, comments. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming today. We certainly appreciate everyone. And Rylan, of course, thank you so much for you still need to pay for storage. Yes, you would have to pay for the storage of the recording once it's removed from the SigniX platform. That would be your responsibility. That is correct. All right. I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Rylan. Oh, did I miss something else?
Yes,
right.
I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. Please let me know if you have any additional questions or concerns. Feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm again more than happy to help.
Thank you, Rylan, so much for your time today. We certainly appreciate it. This was
Absolutely.
recorded. It'll be on our YouTube channels. It'll be on the NINA channel as well. If there are questions afterward, you can certainly forward them to us, and we can forward them on to Rylan, so we can reach out to you if you'd like to. But otherwise, thank you all so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.